A pro-Israel watchdog released a finding that in the year 2020, the UN passed 17 resolutions condemning Israel. At the same time, in the entire year of 2020, they only passed 6 resolutions condemning all the other nations in the world combined. In this week's Torah portion, we read about Joseph, how Joseph is returning with his brothers to bury his father Jacob in the land of Israel, as he promised he would do. And on the way back, he takes a detour, and he goes back to the original pit that his brothers threw him into. And he stands over the pit, and he prays and he meditates. His brothers think he must be revisiting his anger, his hatred towards us. And therefore, he's going to try to take revenge. And so when they come back to Egypt, they throw themselves before Joseph and they plead for forgiveness. And they say, please forgive us and we will be your slaves, but don't do us any harm. However, what they failed to realize was that Joseph went back to the pit not to revisit his hurt, his pain, his victimhood, and his anger towards his brothers. On the contrary, he went back to the pit to give thanks to God, to say the following blessing: Baruch she'asa li nes b'makom hazeh. Thank you, God, for performing a miracle for me in this location, that I survived this pit and was saved and managed to realize my dreams and become Viceroy of Egypt. At the precise moment that the brothers thought that he was harboring hatred towards them, he was actually had a heart full of love and gratitude towards God, focusing on the positive, not on the negative. And so too, as we conclude the year 2020 this week, we could focus on all the hatred, or we could focus on all the love. We could say, God, thank you that you performed a miracle for us in the year 2020, that we survived this pandemic, that we stayed alive. And just like we survived 2020, we'll continue to be healthy and well. And even though the world continues to condemn Israel and show hatred towards Israel, we must stand together with brotherly love towards one another to counter all that hatred. And it's shocking that this very week that this finding was released about the UN is the same week that a 52-year-old mother of 6 children by the name of Esther Hogan went for a jog in Tel Menashe, near a settlement in the West Bank where she lives. And this 52-year-old mother of 6 children was attacked and brutally murdered by a Palestinian terrorist. The world keeps silent when Jews are murdered, but looks to condemn Israel and single out Israel and offer so many condemnations against our little state. We have survived hatred for thousands of years. However, when we are focused on loving one another, then we will prevail. Like Yosef, who we are all named after as a Jewish nation, we rise above our adversaries and our enemies when we have hearts filled with love towards each other and gratitude to Hashem. Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, will live on, Chai, and always prevail.